Well, good evening, Leo and Junius. Thank you guys so much for being here. You guys are our captive viewers for this evening, and I want to welcome you. Hopefully you guys had a great day and ready to get some good information, because that is exactly what we intend to do over this next hour. For those that don't know, my name is Moshe Kimber. I am one half of the Real Estate Growth Academy. My husband and I started this academy back in March, and our goal and desire is to basically teach others how to start your journey into real estate investing using three strategies that we teach. We teach the wholesale strategy, we teach the fix and flip, and we teach the BRRRR strategy. And we just feel like those are the three strategies that we know. Those are the three strategies that we know the best. We are experts on those three strategies. Why? It's because those are the three strategies that we have used over the past 12 years to elevate us and get us to where we are right now in our real estate investment business. And so the goal of these weekly webinars is simply to just take little excerpts of those three strategies and give them to those people like yourselves who are interested in getting started and want a little more information. And so we're hoping that the information we're bringing you every Monday is valuable, and certainly looking forward to taking a deeper dive with you should you decide to really get on this journey and really kick it off, in hopes that we may be able to be your coaches in doing so. So tonight's webinar is actually part 2 of a 2-part series. The first part we did, it was before Juneteenth, so it was last month sometime, and this webinar was originally scheduled, the second part was originally scheduled for Monday, Juneteenth, but we realized it was a holiday, and we rescheduled it to today. So the art of wholesaling, that's the name of this webinar, and that's what we're going to be going over in this second part. Before I get to the second part, just to kind of rewind a little bit and talk to you guys a little bit about the first part, because I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to attend that webinar. But in the first part of the webinar, this series, we introduced what the concept of wholesaling was. What the concept of wholesaling is pretty much where you as an investor, you're able to play a part in a real estate transaction without being the buyer or the seller, right? So your job as a wholesaler is to find a seller who is willing to sell his property to you. And I say sell as in quotations, because he's not selling it to you, meaning like you're buying it, with some level of cash or financing, but he's willing to contract to sell his property to you. And then you as a wholesaler, you will then take that contract and assign it to an end buyer who will actually buy the property. So that's the concept of wholesaling. So you are in that transaction, you are still considered an investor. The only thing is you're not physically buying the property. You're simply selling the paper, the contract. And in selling that contract, you will get what they call an assignment fee, right? So that's how you get paid. So in part 1 of this series, we talked about the concept, what wholesaling is. We talked about how do you find those sellers? How do you go out and find those sellers who are willing to sell their property to you under market enough where you can get paid, and the person you end up selling it to or selling your contract to can get paid and make money too. So we talked about how to find distressed sellers, how to negotiate the deal with the sellers, because if you've ever heard any mantra that is sort of a common thread in investing, it is the win is in the purchase. So understanding exactly the number you need to purchase or go under contract with in a property is going to be the deciding factor on whether that's going to be a winning deal. So we talked about how to negotiate the deal. And once you negotiate the deal, you then got to take that contract and you got to hit the streets and find an end buyer, AKA a cash buyer. That is where we're going to pick up from today in part 2 of the art of wholesaling. If you are not aware, we did pen an ebook called The Art of Wholesaling, and we'll drop that link in the chat. And so that is the frame of reference that we'll be using to go through part 2. Give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen with you as soon as I can get to the place in which we're going to start. Here we go. Okay. So the art of the art of wholesaling ebook. This book basically takes you through what we're talking about tonight in terms of finding the buyers. So the ideal now, as I said, is now that you've got this paper in hand and you have what they call equitable title, that means equitable title, equitable interest in this property. That pretty much just gives you permission to go out now and remarket this property to find yourself an end buyer. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, here are some of our favorite ways in which to do it. We use Zillow. So let me just tell you a little bit about Zillow. So Zillow, as you know, is kind of the place that you go where people list properties, buy properties, and list properties on Zillow. It's like a hub for properties that are for sale. As an equitable interest holder of this particular property, you can go on to Zillow and you can post your property on Zillow. Now, Zillow's got a little sophisticated over the years in terms of what you have to do to get the property listed. You'll have to basically put the listing up, but then they're going to call you and they're going to basically go through some fact points about. They're going to go through some fact checkpoints, if you will, about the property, just to ensure that you are the owner of the property. And again, you're the owner from an equitable interest standpoint. You're not the owner from, I can go and occupy that space. You can't do that. You don't have the interest to possess the property. You just have the interest to market the property. So for the sake of Zillow's questioning, yes, you're the owner, and they'll ask you a few questions about the property. So you just want to make sure that you know that it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or whatever the specs are, and that sort of thing. So that's one place in which you can find buyers for your contract, is you can post on Zillow. Another place you can find buyers is, voila, real estate agents, right? Real estate agents represent buyers all the time. So in dealing with a real estate agent, well, before I get to that, let me say this. So the way you would basically present yourself to a real estate agent is you would reach out. My suggestion would be to find real estate agents, right, who have represented buyers and sellers of distressed properties in that area, in the area that you're looking to sell this contract, where the property is situated. You want to try to find some agents that are already doing business in that area, because typically if they had one buyer, they've got another buyer. Or if they've had one buyer that's bought distressed in that neighborhood, typically that same buyer wants to continue to buy in that neighborhood. So getting in touch with an agent who sold some properties over in that area would be certainly a great place to start with, helping to find a buyer. But in doing so, getting an agent involved means that another person's involved with helping you sell that contract. What else might that mean? What else might that mean for you in terms of, if there's another person in the transaction, that means another person must get what? Paid. Exactly. That means another person has to get paid, right? So typically when we involve an agent, it's a situation where we've got some room in the deal, right? So we've got some room in the deal within our assignment fee, because remember, we got the property under contract for one price with the seller, right? And we're going to sell it for this price. The difference between the two prices is your fee. So if there's enough room in the deal, say if you stand to make a $20,000 assignment fee on this deal, well, there's some room in it for you to share, right? And so you go to an agent and you pretty much say, what we like to do, sometimes we like to do a flat fee, and we'll see where they are with the flat fee. And depending on what your number is, they'll say, yes, I'll do it. You know, I'll represent, or I'll help you find an end buyer for the flat fee of whatever you negotiate. Or you can offer them a percentage, right? You can offer them a percentage of it. Typically, most agents are getting paid anywhere from 2 to 3% on market when they participate in a retail real estate deal. They're going to get anywhere from 2 to 3% commission. So what you want to offer them is you want to offer them the 2% or 2.5%, maybe even 3%. But the caveat would be, hey, listen, we can pay you off the HUD. Okay. And that's all I'm going to say to that. We can pay you off the HUD, meaning that we can do it so that we'll pay you directly, whatever the 2%, 3% is off the HUD, where you don't have to go through your broker and pay them, you know, pay them. So that's an option as well. So just the way you'll determine what you pay them and how you'll pay them will depend on, again, how much room do you have in the deal? Because sometimes deals can be so tight where you don't have any room to pay another person, right? So a real estate agent may or may not be a good fit to find a buyer for a deal that's really tight already. Are you guys following along? You got any questions so far?
Not yet.
All right. Okay, so another marketing tool to find buyers are bandit or ghost signs. Do you guys know what a bandit or ghost sign is?
Nope.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show you. If I can get it up. This is what it looks like. Okay. And let's see if you see this anywhere. Let me share this with you. All right. Has anybody seen these signs anywhere in your neighborhood, riding through a city? Have you seen any of these signs?
Yep, plenty of them.
You've seen those signs. Okay. So that's considered a ghost sign, a bandit sign. And that's sort of a bandit sign that's going to attract investors, right? That's going to, wait a minute, that's the wrong one. That is a bandit sign, but that's for if you're looking for a seller. Hold on one second. This is a bandit sign for, I'm sorry. This is a bandit sign for, those examples aren't as clear as this one. Okay, that example. Go ahead, Johnny. I know what you're about to say.
Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna just jump in with you, man. As far as everyone's seen the bandit signs before, those are the bandit signs. We buy houses. You guys seen them all over your neighborhood, I'm sure. There's a couple examples here in the photo. The ghost sign, guys, is a very tricky one, right? A ghost sign is basically, it's a fake sign where you go out, you buy a blank sign, and you basically say, you're basically marketing a property. You say 3-bedroom house for sale, 3-bedroom, 1-bath house for sale for $150K, and you leave the phone number, right? Now, do you have a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom property for sale? No.
But well, no, Johnny, honey. Well, wait a minute, because you're definitely talking about, but that's not the point. The point we were making on this one is you have the property under contract. I don't know when you jumped on, but I don't want to confuse the situation. So this is a situation. So I'm going to get to that. What you're just talking about, I'm going to get to after I was saying, once you got the property under contract, you're trying to find an end buyer. You're trying to find an end buyer. So back to what Johnny was saying, which is very poignant, and you'll see how that's going to work for you to even find buyers for other deals. Give me 1 second. We're going to walk into that. So what I was potentially trying to show you guys in the bandit ghost signs is basically, when you have this property, you know it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or whatever it is. So just like you saw that We Buy Houses sign, you would pretty much duplicate a sign like that, but with your property on it. So it's 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. You'll say property for sale, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, 1,600 square feet, call this number. You'd post that sign on high visible, high traffic corners, areas, poles, that sort of thing. And investors who are cruising and farming in those particular neighborhoods will see your sign, and your phone will start to ring about, this property. Oh, you have to put the price on it too. So the specs, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,600 square feet, $40,000. And then your phone number. So that's going to get your phone ringing with cash buyers who are shopping in that particular area, looking for properties. So to Johnny's point, and the point that he was making, which is still poignant. So now you've got, say you get a buyer on the hook through your bandit sign. Okay. You get that buyer on the hook, but you don't take down that sign. And here's why you don't take down the sign, because that sign is now going to go from an actual property that you're actually representing and selling, right? To now a ghost sign, which is a marketing tool for you to build a buyer's list, okay? Because if that property, when that property sells, that sign is still going to get your phone ringing with investors saying, hey, you got that 40, I saw your sign, you got a property for 40,000. And this is where you say, you know what? That property just went under contract, but you know what? I get a lot of stuff in this area. Let me take your information. Let me take your information down. And the next time I get something, I'll be sure to call you and let you know I have something. You see how that works? So the sign is, it serves multi-purposes and 2 purposes. It's for you to advertise the property that you have under contract that you legit need to find a cash buyer for, but it's also a marketing tool for you to continue to build your cash buyers list. Because the more you build your cash buyers list, when you get the properties under contract, you've now got a Rolodex. Is that old school? Rolodex? We still use those? Want to use those? Okay. So you still have a phone book, database of buyers in that particular area that you can just pick up the phone now and say, hey, what's up, Johnny? I got this property under contract today. It's in, South Atlanta or wherever it is. You follow me? You guys kind of understand the duplicity of the signs?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate that, because that definitely helped me to sell into what you were saying.
No problem. I'm here.
Okay. So another point to keep in mind about this buyer's list is the buyer's list is something that you're going to obviously continue to build over time. Every buyer that you end up engaging with, whether they buy a deal from you at that particular time or not, they could always be looking for another deal at another time that may be better suited for their portfolio. So what you want to do is keep a well-organized and very detailed buyers list via Excel, a CRM program, which is a customer response management program. They have some that are free. They have some that require some, small monthly investment, but they are so worth it, because being able to go, punch up, West Philly buyers, or, Southwest Atlanta buyers, or wherever you live, in your Excel sheet, and knowing that, okay, I can just, call these 10 people or whomever it is. That's very important. So keeping a nice organized list of those people and what they're looking for and what types of properties they're looking for is key to your success and efficiency in the future. So here are some of the questions that you may want to ask them in building your buyer profile. You want to ask them what type of properties they're looking for, what their end strategy is. Are they planning to flip or hold? That can be very important, because that would determine what kind of property would be best suited for their portfolio. If they're going to flip it, then obviously if they're flip investors and they don't necessarily hold, they don't want they don't want something that's too turnkey, right? They want something that they can get some value out of. So, these are some of the questions you can ask. What is your acquisition price point? This is just, all these questions are just better helping you to understand what their buying criteria is. So when you get a property under contract, you know exactly who's buying that type of property, okay? So here's some other places that you can post your properties to look for buyers. You can post on Craigslist. You can utilize Facebook groups. I would always highly recommend that wherever you are, not only do you find specific Facebook groups about, the strategy wholesaling, right? If you do general, if you find general Facebook groups about wholesaling, specifically do some searching on these social platforms for wholesaling Philadelphia, wholesaling Atlanta. This way you can tap into the people that are in your market. And when you post a deal, you know that the eyes that are going to see the deal are people in that particular area. So definitely utilize Facebook. It's a great resource. Going to property auctions. This is a really good place to find cash buyers. Does anybody know why it would be good to go there, to go to an auction? Well, I guess it's up on the screen, so you could probably see it, huh? I guess I just gave myself away. So going to a property auction in your area, finding out when the sheriff sale dates are in your county or neighboring counties or what have you, going to those auctions, that's like the creme de la creme of where your buyer pool lives, right? These are people who are cash buyers, because if you're buying at auction, you got to have cash. And these are people who are investors who are looking for what you're selling. So going to a property auction will certainly be a fertile ground for you to find a buyer for your deal. So definitely research the property auctions in your area. One other addition, an upgrade, if you will, to using the social media platforms besides just posting in free groups is you can advertise. You can create an advert on Facebook or Instagram selling your property, and it's a very minimal expense for the audience and for the what is it called, the reach that you can get. I have a radio background, and so I remember being in radio and people will want to do advertising campaigns. And while people, the allure of doing a radio commercial for your event or for your whatever is a big deal, right? It's like, oh, my stuff is on the radio. But the problem with that is that radio, they say your ad has to play 3 to 4 times for somebody to hear it one time. And the cost that it takes, the investment that it takes to get your ad to play with the level of frequency to really make people tune in is so costly that most people can't afford radio advertising. But the invention of social media has made it such that you can advertise and you can spend something as little as $100 and you can reach 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,000 people, right? And they see it. It's not like it takes them 4 times to see it. They see it when they scroll down their timeline. They'll see it. So I think it's a great way to advertise your market your properties. Another thing you can do if you have a relationship, well, actually, you can do this on PropStream too. Johnny, chime in if I'm wrong, but can you not get a list of absentee owners on PropStream? Did he leave us? Oh, looks like he's frozen. PropStream is the.
No, I'm sorry. I was out of my car. I'm sorry. What was that?
Can you do a search on PropStream for absentee owners?
Yes, you can. PropStream is amazing. It's gonna allow you to find absentee owners as well. You can also find cash buyers on PropStream as well.
Okay, so PropStream, if you guys weren't in attendance of our webinar last week, it was phenomenal. We had a senior specialist from PropStream who led our webinar last week to tell us the ins and outs of what that platform offers. For investors, it is the ultimate platform. It is something that if you do nothing else, if you buy into anything, when you become and when you start on your journey to investing, you have to get the PropStream app. That app is going to do wonders for your life, and it creates a level of efficiency that I've not seen in any other platform. But using that platform, you can create and do a search query for a list of absentee owners, okay? These are people who are already buying investment properties and they may be in the market for another. So that's a warm network of people. And that's another place in which you can, market your property to find an end buyer. So now let's just say you've lock down your buyer through one of those mediums, one of those means. You were able to secure your buyer. So now you have your A-B contract. That is your contract with the seller. So seller's A, you're B. You got an A-B contract, right? And the next thing you have to execute is you have to execute your B-C contract. B is you, C is your end buyer. That's your assignment agreement. That's your assignment agreement. This is the agreement that's going to spell out the terms that you have negotiated with the end buyer. So your sales price is going to be it's going to show everything. This is where you pretty much show your hand, right? So the assignment contract is going to include purchase price. This is the total amount that the cash buyer is going to pay. And it's going to show your closing date. It's going to show your assignment fee. Now, this is where you make your money. And this is also a very, what can I say? This is also it can be a very topsy-turvy part of the transaction. And by that, I mean this, because this is where the buyer is going to get to see how much money you're making. This is where they're going to get to see how much you have on the deal. Right? So you've already negotiated with them to purchase the property for 100,000, let's say. And they were cool with that, right? They were good, like, oh, 100,000. They thought it was a great deal until they saw how much money you were making. They saw that you were making, you got the contract you got the seller under contract for 20,000, let's say, right? And they about to pay you 100,000. So you got an $80,000 assignment fee. That's where they may be like, wait a minute. Now, all of a sudden, that good $100,000 deal ain't such a good deal, right? And this is where it gets that spread is pretty big. That was a pretty large exaggeration, but it can be, we've had buyers complain that we were getting $20,000, right? And they want to come back and say, well, I think that price is a little too high and that sort of thing. But there's a few things you can do to circumvent that. And I don't want to confuse you and go all into those things, but just know that in this period, while you're executing your assignment agreement with the end buyer, they're going to see your hand. They're going to see how much you're making, right? And you just have to be very creative in, your level of negotiation and staff to get through that point. It doesn't happen all the time, so I don't want to scare you like it happens all the time, but some people will feel away if they know they paying 100,000 and you about to walk away with 20 or 30. They feel away about that. But like I said, there are some ways in which you can get around that, but I don't want to confuse you, and I don't know that we'll have enough time to delve into how you can get around that. So you get your assignment fee. It's all, it's all the criteria of the assignment fee, or all the details of the assignment fee are laid out in terms of the terms of the contract. And then understand too, because you're assigning this contract to an end buyer, the terms that you had negotiated with the seller transfer over to this assignment fee, unless you specify otherwise, right? Unless you specify otherwise. But those terms, meaning like the closing date that you had already negotiated with the seller that's in your A-B contract, that is also going to be the closing date in your assignment, on your assignment agreement, and that sort of thing. 1 second, you guys. Let me take a little swig. This is juice. I know it's a red cup, but it's just a little juice. Although it is happy hour time, I'm not getting happy right now.
What you got in that cup over there?
I'm not getting happy right now. This is just a little Simply peach juice, okay? To wet my whistle. Okay. Okay, so now we're just walking you through the journey here, okay? You got your contract from your seller, you found your buyer, and now you got your buyer under contract. So you got your purchase agreement and you got your assignment agreement, your AB contract and your BC contract. These two contracts then get sent over to a third neutral party. This third neutral party is called the title company. And depending on what state you're in, it could be a title company or a closing attorney. Different states require that you close with an attorney. Some states require that it's only a title company, but they're a neutral party to the transaction. And they basically well, it just depends on what state. I can't say who gets to choose the title or closing attorney. Depending on what state you're in, the default is the buyers choose. Some states, the default is the seller chooses, but again, that's state specific. But the main point to take away from this title company relationship is, or title company party within the transaction, is the relationship. As you're building your business as a real estate investor, you want to build relationships within that business. A title company relationship can be pivotal and crucial to you in doing business, because what can happen in deals is deals can go south really fast, right? You can get at the closing table and the deal will fall apart. And so you want to ensure that even though the title company is a neutral party, relationships matter. Nobody can tell me anywhere, no matter how neutral something is supposed to be, relationships certainly matter where they can, right? So of course, a title company is not going to put their license on the line to do you a favor that will jeopardize their license. But if there's something that they can do to help you that doesn't, undercut that, then they'll do that. So having a good relationship with a title company is important. So as you start to do business and you're like, I like the way they handled this transaction, everything was smooth, they did blah, 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 they explained everything, they were really good bedside manners, if you will. This is somebody I want to get in bed with and in pocket with, and I want to continue to build and nurture that relationship. So you try to send all your deals to them, because the more deals you're sending to them, the better you're growing and nurturing that relationship. And when it comes down to, I need y'all to just act like the title ain't come back yet, because I need more time to go and do whatever to get the money to close this deal before I lose my money and the deal. And then your title company can say, oh, okay, I'll just, it's not illegal for them to say I didn't get the title back. You see what I'm saying? If it's going to buy the person with the relationship with them 4 or 5 days on the closing. So these are the little nuances I'm saying about the relationship and when it could come into play and benefit you without undercutting, their responsibility, their legal responsibility. So the earnest money deposit is basically a deposit that you're going to get from the cash buyer. So if you were a part of our part 1 whole art of wholesaling webinar, that's where we talked about the purchase contract. That's that AB contract I keep referring to. And on that contract, a good wholesaler will be able to get a property under contract without having to give the seller a deposit. How does that happen, you ask? Well, it's finesse. It's understanding the art of negotiating. It's understanding, how to, finesse the deal where the seller feels like, oh, they're going to buy this property. Oh, this property is as good as sold in 30 days, like they said. That's an art. That's why we call it the art of wholesaling. And so when you got that contract or that property under contract, that purchase agreement, you most likely, if you were good enough, you didn't have to put down a deposit. However, when you get to that BC contract with that seller, that cash buyer, you want to definitely make sure that they are putting a deposit on the property, because that is going to ensure that you're going to get your money and the seller's going to get their money, right? Or that buyer is going to lose their money. Most people won't put an earnest money deposit down just to lose it. And typically it's about 1 to 2% of the total sales price. Well, 5%. We got 5% here. So yeah, just ask for 5. I think we're doing like 1 to 2% now, but 5% is that's a good hefty amount to ensure that they're not going to walk away from, that amount of money and not close the deal. But you definitely want to get an earnest money deposit. Any questions so far?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, y'all getting this. I like it. I love it. I love it. Okay. All right, so in closing, let me say this. So then one other thing I wanted to point out with the title company. So now your deal is at the title company. Your title company gets both agreements, the purchase and the assignment agreement. And what they do is they take and they put together what they call a closing statement or a HUD. On this closing statement and HUD, you have 2 sides to it. You have your seller side, you have your buyer side. So your assignment fee is being paid by the buyer, right? So on that HUD, that settlement statement, you want to look it over to make sure that all of the fees that are supposed to be on the buyer side are on the buyer side, and the seller will probably pay very, very few fees, because again, in part 1 of the Art of Wholesaling webinar, we talked about kind of the purchase agreement saying a part of your sale, if you will, to the seller to get them to go under contract with you is that going under contract with you is going to save them a lot of money in fees, because they won't pay commission and they won't pay closing costs. Those things are sort of passed over to the end buyer. And so when you're seeing this settlement statement, you're looking at the seller and the buyer side, ensuring that the title company or closing attorney put all the closing costs on the buyer side along with your fee. So you always want to make sure that your name, your LLC is, nicely printed on that settlement statement, and it shows how much money you're getting per your assignment fee. So that is pretty much it for the title companies, role. And then, they'll ask you how you want your money. You want a check? You want us to wire it? How would you like it? And then, you get paid and you've successfully completed a wholesale transaction. So that is the presentation on that's the part 2 of the Art of Wholesaling. Again, if you guys missed part 1, I will be let's see, who would be interested in getting part 1 of the
I will be.
Junius?
Yes.
Okay.
I as well.
Okay, could you okay, so you guys we have your email addresses because that's how you registered. So I'll have April send you guys a link to part 1, just so you'll have, because I don't know if any of this kind of didn't connect the dots. I tried to connect the dots where I thought would make sense, so not to confuse you, just kind of going into part 2 without the context of part 1. But I think once you see part 1 and put them both together, you'll really get a well-rounded understanding of wholesaling and the strategy. Do you guys have any questions on wholesaling or otherwise?
Not right now. I'm still digest all this.
Okay, so tell me a little bit, Junius, about where you are in your real estate journey.
Actually, I'm a contractor. I'm thinking about starting flipping. So
we have to talk.
So I'm trying to just get as much knowledge as I can in reference to properties.
Okay. Junius, I have a really good, you hold the line once we finish here, because I have something that you will probably really, really love, because we literally, Johnny, just talked yesterday, was it?
Yes, yesterday.
and contractors are definitely, we've got something special that we're doing with contractors, but hold the line for that. And Leo, tell me a little bit more about where you are in your real estate investment journey and what your goals are.
So I don't have any. I've done, I believe, like one or two other webinars. Didn't really go. It was a lot of information all at once, and then he's like, the guy that I went to go see, he goes, oh, come see me for a week or something like that, and I just couldn't find the time to be able to do it. Real estate is something that I definitely want to do. I'm into, I want to do like the flipping and the buying and the flipping. I want to have tenants. I want to start a empire, if you will, with real estate. So,
and flipping and the BRRRR strategy is what you're looking to do.
Yes. Yeah, I'm definitely more interested in like the buying and the flipping part of it, and kind of seeing where that takes me.
Okay. So let me just say this to both of you guys. I'm gonna actually drop two links in the chat, one link in the chat. It's gonna be for a discovery call, because I believe that you guys are prime time ready for exactly what we do in helping people get from where they are to where they want to be. Junius, like I said, we created something specific for contractors, right? Because we're working with contractors quite like yourself, and they are looking to kind of do the next thing, which is, invest in their own properties. They're working for other investors, but now it's like, I want to be an investor too, which is it's a natural progression, right? When we were wholesalers and we were getting these properties at, below market deals, and we were selling it to these cash buyers who were paying us 10, 20, 30. Our biggest wholesale deal was $110,000. We're like, if you can afford to pay me $110,000, plus you about to pay this seller what they're asking for, you must be making a boatload of money. How do we become that person? So that's the same thing, Junius, in your situation is, if you're working for these contractors and you're doing a deal, you're working for these investors and you're doing $50, $60, $70,000 rental budgets or whatever they are, you're like, well, if they can pay me to do this rental budget, they must stand to gain so much more on that back end for them to be able to afford me to do this type of renovation. How can I become them? So that's kind of where we're moving to in terms of talking with contractors to get them to that next level, that next progression of where they want to be an investment, because you've already got something that a lot of people don't have. You've got the skill sets as a contractor. So that's for you. I'm going to have April drop a discovery call link in the chat for you, Junius. Please schedule a no obligation discovery call. We're going to dig in a little bit more about your specific goals and how we may be able to help you. And as far as you're concerned, Leo, I think what we're talking about tonight in the wholesale strategy, in the wholesale strategy, the progression was, or the information that we give in the wholesale strategy certainly helps you in both fix and flip and the BRRRR, because finding the deal is the common thread throughout all three strategies, whether you're wholesaling, fix and flipping, or BRRRR. Finding the deal, that's the first thing you got to do. You can't execute either strategy without having a deal. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am. Now I do have a quick question. Do you need a license, like a realtor license for this? No.
No, sir. No.
Is it beneficial? Is it easier?
If you're flipping, yes. If you're flipping, because here's why. The only thing that not that it's easier, it's all about how do I keep more money at home? And if you can represent your own properties after you fix it up, and you can represent your own property as an agent, you keep 3%. So your bottom line now consists of whatever you make in profit on the deal itself, plus a real estate commission. So that's the only reason why I'm licensed. You don't have to be, but that's why I'm licensed, because I don't want to give 3% to somebody else to list my property. I'm going to list my own property. You follow me?
Yes, ma'am, I do. And my wife is right next to me, and she was asking me, because we've been actually talking about getting a real estate license. And so that's you know, one of the questions that I was asking is, you know, do we have to? And you just answered that for me. But like you said, it'd just be easier because then we get to keep a lot more of the money when we represent our own properties and we're selling it ourselves. We don't have to go through somebody else.
Exactly. Okay. But don't let that be a deterrent for you to start investing.
It has been for a very long time. And so it's no longer, but yes, it has been.
So guys, we are actually kicking off August 2nd through 4th. We're doing a 3-day accelerated fix and flip boot camp, teaching the 8 steps to fix and flip successfully. And so our full course is a protracted version, but this August 2nd through 4th is going to be off the chain because we're going to teach in these 3 days, and each session will run about an hour and 15 minutes. But in these 3 days, we're going to teach you how to find motivated sellers. We're going to teach you how to analyze your market to negotiate the best deal. We're going to teach you how to estimate repairs, put together your scope of work, secure funding using other people's money, find somewhere in between those bullets I just ran down, assemble your team, contracting team. And once you've done all that, obviously, how to get the property ready for market to be able to sell it for a 5-figure profit. So we're doing this boot camp for $199. It is going to be on fire, the most information that you can get in terms of the fix and flip strategy in 3+ hours over 3 days. So I'm going to have April drop that in there as well. So you guys can definitely be a part of that. Because if you're looking to fix and flip, and this is the thing, this is going to kind of give you the whole picture of what it's going to take. And once you finish the boot camp, then I believe that you'll be ready to really go into the strategy or to be able to get coaching on how to execute, because the information is the first thing you have to have. Without the education, none of it matters. You have to get the education on the how to. And once you get a good understanding of the how to, then the next thing you probably will want to do is get yourself some coaching. Because I'm gonna tell you, Johnny's my partner, my husband. What we did not have is coaching. The information, we were able to get, and then it was kind of like once I get the information, getting someone to help us to, put an action plan together, have a system of accountability, and really walk us through deals. That's something that we didn't have, but that's what we are offering, right? So we're offering not just the education, but we're offering coaching thereafter to kind of hold your hand. Most places you go for investment information, they won't give you the coaching, on top of that. So yeah, I wanted to just throw that out there. April's dropped some links in the chat. You guys feel free to, be a part of it. Message us, inboxes if you have any questions. But yeah, that's what we are doing. And I think you guys will be awesome fits for the boot camp, since you're both looking to get into the fix and flip world.
Perfect. I'm really excited. So, this is amazing to me. Yeah. So
yeah, thank you. You're so very, very welcome. Did you guys get anything? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just want to let everybody know one thing that we take pride on is that, everything a lot of the stuff we offer a lot of support, because we want to make sure to see you guys, be successful on your real estate journey. So we know how important it is to have that support, to be able to reach out to someone to get through those tough spots.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So this was just a small portion of what we do. Our 3-day boot camp is going to be packed with information. We're going to actually take you on some live tours via the boot camp too. So we have some really fun stuff planned for it. So I hope to see you guys there. If you can sign up for the boot camp, and you can also just also schedule a discovery call if you want to kind of talk specifically to me about some details of where you're trying to go, and I can, you know, help you as best I can try to navigate what that path would look like. So take those links, and yeah, look forward to seeing you guys soon. Thank you so much for attending tonight's webinar.
Thank you for the invite.
Thank you for the invite as well. Guys,
All
have
right.
a wonderful night.
You too. Bye now.
Thank you.
Good evening.